I hope it happens now. I hope it happens while I'm on. I would love that.
I know, right?
So I've been waiting. I was like, oh my God, if it's going to happen on Wednesday, it better happen when I'm on with Stephanie. It'll make up for all the times that the universe dealt me some sort of breaking news story, literally like microseconds after I cut the mics on my show.
The universe is like, did Bob Cesca just finish his show? Is Stephanie on vacation? Okay, now's the time.
Yeah. Yes, they're variants of the same curse. Absolutely. Whatever God or universal power is creating that thing.
Yeah.
We both have versions of it for sure.
Bob, but you know what I'm saying? We all know it's just a lifetime of karma. And, you know, I'm referring to, by the way, the 14-year-old who claimed that Trump raped her and then was, you know, scared to death to come forward. And, you know, all of the women that came forward before the election. I mean, can you imagine all of the things we don't know? Whether it's related to Epstein or not, that he has done in his lifetime. And it just, let's hope this is, as someone said, the beginning of a cascade of justice for him.
Well, there are so many things that we do know that he should probably be prosecuted for. And one of the reasons why we're so frustrated observing Trump on the national stage for all this time is because of this flood the zone mentality, this flood the zone strategy that may come from Steve Bannon. It may be a hybrid between Bannon and Trump coming up with this thing where if you just flood the zone with crimes, a whole bunch of crimes they'll be able to get away with because you can only do so much at one time.
Yeah,
you know?
We always talk about the tennis ball machine full of water hoses.
Exactly.
What do we say? The water hose full of tennis ball machines. Anyway, but yes, the fire hose. Right. Tennis ball machine, the fire hose of news during the Trump administration. You're right, we can't keep up with all of the criming and corruption and incompetence. And so you just, But I mean, you said it. With Trump's impending indictment, history warns us to never underestimate the knee-jerk extremism of an entitled mob of cultists. That's the serious part, right?
Oh, yeah. And I've been thinking about this a lot. And some people who I like and trust their opinions and think that they're brilliant people have been saying, Lawrence O'Donnell the other night, Charlie Pierce on the show yesterday, was basically saying, no, they're not going to do anything. Don't worry about it. There's not going to be any, crazy extremism, no attacks or anything, and no violence. I don't know. These people have shown and proved a lot of things to us over the last 5-6 years. And, a predisposition to commit acts of violence, I think, is one of those. Yeah. It's like having, I compare it to this. It's like if you're Jay Leno and you've got a giant car collection in your garage, but never use it, never drive any of those cars. These people are collecting gigantic arsenals of firearms and buying tactical gear from wherever. Yeah. And eventually they're going to want to start using those things.
No, I hear
and
you.
Donald Trump is this avatar for them to act out their cosplay fantasies, their military weekend warrior fantasies about some sort of ridiculous, janky revolution.
I get that terrorists want you to be afraid. So I get saying we're not going to be afraid of Meal Team 6, as Malcolm Nance calls them, Vanilla ISIS.
Right. Yeah.
But I do get what you're saying, that, obviously it is a threat that law enforcement is taking seriously. I mean, I know when you use the word spadoinkle that things are serious. It's my favorite
Parker
thing.
Gets
I don't know why
that.
It's my favorite thing when you say. You said no wonder law enforcement is preparing for the next big red hat freak out of the impending indictment of Donald Trump. Historically, whenever grown-ups tell them no, they totally lose their spadoinkle, which is a legal term.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
And as I said, I have to give credit to Trey Parker, the creator of South Park, for that word, which I have stolen and borrowed many, many times and tried to give him credit for. But anyway, I did a video about all of this the other day, which is that throughout history, we've seen this throughout American history, whether it was the lead up to the Civil War, where for like 85 years, Southern conservative interests basically controlled the destiny of the American government. I mean, some of the worst decisions that we made in the forming of the Republic were made to cater to Southern interests, right? And then as soon as someone comes along and says, hey, maybe that slavery thing isn't such a good idea, Abraham Lincoln, they totally freaked out and stormed off and formed their own little confederacy. And then all this carnage came after that. And so this is the sort of thing that we've seen happen time and time again, whether it's January 6th, January 6th, oh, you can't have your president for another term. Oh, well, let's go up to the Capitol Hill and break things.
Yeah.
So that's the sort of thing that we should expect.
Things I tend to say is a joke on the show, then he does it. Because remember I said, where does he go next with the racism? Because the dog whistle's gone. Does he just start yelling N-word? Did you see the stuff he said yesterday? It's pretty close to yelling N-word. I mean,
oh, yeah.
Right? Every like
1920.
coded. Yeah. Should we do it? Yes.
Oh, we got it.
19, yes.
19.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Hold, please,
Joe
Bob.
Biden recently announced that he will require every state, county, city, and town to submit so-called equity plans to impose the left's Marxist housing agenda on your communities. This is not what we need. The Biden power grab will put radical and racist left-wing bureaucrats in charge of micromanaging the housing where you live. And nobody can be happy about that. I talked about it during my last campaign, and people understood it very well.
Oh, did people understand that very subtle dog whistle? Blackety, blackety, black, black. We hear you. He went on to say.
They will use the power of the federal government to abolish zoning for single-family homes, destroy your property values by building giant multi-family apartment complexes in the suburbs, and even next to your house, and force your community to pay for low-income housing developments right next door. The woke left is waging full-scale war on the suburbs, and their Marxist crusade is coming for your neighborhood, your tax dollars, your public safety, and your home.
Oh, my God.
In case you haven't noticed, he's black.
Okay. I mean, wow.
Yeah. So much there. Just
right?
making stuff up. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, giant lizards are going to come by and crush your city, too.
Yes.
That's
Black
what
lizards.
the radical
Yes.
left Democrats are going to give us.
And
Giant
date your
kaiju
daughters.
monsters. Yeah, you better look. Yeah, they're going to come for your daughters. They're going to try to marry your children. No, they're going to groom your children. That's what's going to happen. But yeah, this is ridiculousness. And I love this notion that this excuse making that they're engaged in right now, that, well, if they can do this to Donald Trump, they can certainly do this to you.
Right.
Well, you know, they're doing so much worse to regular people. They're executing black men in the streets.
Thank
That's
you.
what law enforcement is engaged in right now. Donald Trump has had so much leash. Can you imagine being under criminal investigation for like at least 2 years? People are getting pulled over for broken taillights.
Thank you.
And
by
then
the way,
getting tased.
You quoted his tweet where he said Alvin Bragg should be held accountable for the crime of interference in a presidential election. You just said shorter, Trump. Abusing the legal system for politics is bad, so I demand we abuse the legal system for politics. I mean, this is another lock him up version of lock her up, right? Like, I know you are, but what am I, Alvin Bragg? Like,
And they're so counting on the short attention spans, the short-term memories of the American people and the red hat fanboys. Because like Jesse Waters yesterday was doing this thing where he's saying that, what was it? Oh, yes, Donald Trump never tried to jail Hillary Clinton. Well, no, he never successfully indicted Hillary Clinton. You know what he did? He actually had his Department of Justice investigate Hillary Clinton, demanded it in 2017. It happened in 2018. And of course, what did they find? They found nothing, absolutely nothing. So of course they couldn't indict her. I mean, at the very least, the Department of Justice still had some sort, during Trump, still had some sort of tethering to reality, enough to say, well, there's nothing here. I don't know. We can't prosecute her for nothing, you know, so we're going to let this go. So that kind of silently went away.
You called out Jonah Goldberg, who criticized Alvin Bragg, saying if President Trump's name were John Smith, Alvin Bragg would not be bringing this case. And you said, not only a cheap amateurist take we've heard a million times, but the indictment is inextricably connected to Trump's presidential campaign. So if John Smith were an ex-president who broke the law during the 2016, John Smith would be indicted too. I mean, it goes to your whole, like, oh, they're coming for you too. Right. If you paid off a porn star before you ran for president or stole or classified nuclear secrets, it's like, no, this doesn't apply to anyone else, of course.
Yeah. Well, they've got this victimhood mentality, right? Well, it's, because he's Donald Trump, they're coming after him because they don't like his stupid hair or his face makeup or whatever, just some sort of superficial nonsense. Well, you know what? If Donald Trump's name was John Smith and he had been president and he had done all of these things, of course he would be prosecuted. In fact, he might be prosecuted more quickly because any normal person wouldn't continuously make things worse for himself, nor would any normal person avail themselves of literally suing every step of the way during criminal investigations, dragging things out, obstructing justice, and all the rest of it. This is Donald Trump's thing. This is how he's dealt with the legal system throughout his entire, 5 decades on the scene.
And thank you. By the way, I love Jeff Jarvis doing some Eric Bollarding on Twitter. He said, no, damn it, Washington Post, this is not a new normal. The point you should be making is just how abnormal this is. But instead, you quite literally normalize the criminal running for president. Right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's part of how we got to a new normal is the media, right?
Yeah. Well, and again, that's the thing. The temptation, the strategy by Donald Trump, and this kind of is related to the flood the zone thing. The strategy is that there are certain crimes that if you commit them as a powerful political leader in this country, that you're kind of immune from. Like, no one's going to come after that. Like, for example, Jim Jordan wrote this letter to try to obstruct Alvin Bragg's investigation the other day. And Ted Lieu jumped in and was like, oh, no, you can't do that. You can't interfere with a local DA's investigation. That's illegal. But, who's going to prosecute that? And that's Jim Jordan's assumption. Who's going to come after me? Okay, I dare you. Send the Department of Justice after me for writing this letter. It's not going to happen because these guys get away with things, things that normal people don't get away with.
Yeah. I'm sorry. So Travis has handed me a new headline. Trump bizarrely says charges against him can't be brought in latest rant against Manhattan DA. It just can't happen, Chris.
Okay. Jump down to the third paragraph of the statement.
All right.
Oh,
from
boy.
the bassinet of the 45th.
Oh, good.
Wait. Down here?
The third paragraph.
Okay. I just start at the beginning, Bob. The rogue prosecutor is having a hard time with the grand jury. No. Especially after powerful testimony against him by Felon Cohen's highly respected former lawyer is attempting to build a case that could... Oh, now we go to caps lock? Has never been brought before and actually can't be brought.
Can't?
He spent his time, effort, and money on fighting violent crime, which is destroying New York City, our beautiful and safe Manhattan, which has become an absolute hellhole, would be a much better place to live. Okay. All right. So baby seems calm this morning.
Yeah. What does he expect them to say? What does he expect? Alvin Bragg's going to wake up this morning, read that Troth from Troth Central and go, you know what? Never mind.
Oh, he's right.
Forget it. We're going to drop the whole thing. Well, this is such a convincing argument here in all caps. With multiple, Stalin? What is Stalin anyway?
They really are all over the place. You quoted Ben Shapiro, who said it's actually quite good for Trump, politically speaking, to be indicted. A lot of people immediately revert to, if the Democrats hate that guy enough that they're trying to arrest him, then probably we need to back him. And you said, so Ben supports the would-be indictment? I mean, they're literally all over the place trying to spin this, aren't they?
Right. If it's good for him, why not use it and win another election? I mean, that's what you're saying. If it's so great, why not just let it go forward? It's such a nothing burger as far as the hush money payment. I mean, that's not even a crime, says Tucker Carlson.
Right.
So just just have at it, and you'll win another election, and everything will be
hush
fine.
Money. That Fox News calls that a Tuesday. My other favorite thing you say besides Spadoinkle is, as a grown man, when you say boy, oh boy, which you did on Twitter. Oh boy, Georgia prosecutors considering racketeering and conspiracy charges in probe of effort to overturn Trump's loss. I just like when you say, oh boy.
Minocqua Brewing Company is excited to partner with Equality Vines to create Choice Wine. Choice Wine comes in 2 choices, Rosé and Sauvignon Blanc. This wine was created to support women's reproductive rights after the Supreme Court rolled back Roe v. Wade in 2022 and caused chaos all over the country. For all you viewers on the Political Voices Network, go to choice.equalityvines.com and type in the promo code PVN to get 10% off on Choice Sauvignon Blanc and Choice Rosé.